See what kind of game we get this morning. Play with the black pieces against an E3 or E4 opening. Got to wake up a little bit. Let's go with an Alekhine. Opponent joined in February of 23 on chess.com from India. Huge chess boom in India. So that's the critical line against Alekhine. That's main line. What tests the idea most. You get a lot of people that are scared of Alekhines and go into this knight c3 setup to protect. Okay. He's going to protect. And I'm going to attack this extended pawn. Open up a line for my bishop to get out. I'm expecting him to support his center with d4. d4 and c4 are the typical ideas for white in the Alekhine. Chase this knight over to a weird square on b6 before I have the opportunity to come back to f6. He doesn't want to take and then allow me to come back after I take back. He does have ideas of bishop c4, and I will defend my knight in the center. Go into like a check perk setup. So he's kept my bishop out of the square. That move is only designed keeping this out. So if I attack with the knight, he continues developing, opens up the center, puts up his center. I'm tempted to take because he doesn't have the option to take back now. And if he continues with normal plans in the Alekhine, tries to push his queenside pawns, we kind of get out of Alekhine theory altogether. And I'm shooting for an overextended pawn center. That's why I played the Alekhine. That's what I want. I want him to push his pawns, and this knight is bait to get him to push his pawns, but he doesn't have to. So if he doesn't want to do that, I suppose we can just play a game of chess. Okay, I'm going to take back. I'm just going to take the pawn and give my knight its natural home back on f6 rather than b6. And this kind of, I think, sends us into a like reverse Scotch pawn structure. I've got 4 kingside pawns. He's got 3. He has the queenside majority versus my 3. Um, so continue development. If I bring the knight out, he can take in doubled pawns. I think I want to fiend kettle my dark square bishop. If he tries to check with the bishop, I can simply block it. Brings his knight out. I can take and go into like a same-ish Scotch reversed. I don't know if that's accurate with the fiend kettle bishop. So that's a natural developing move, which would allow me to double some pawns, give him 3 pawn islands instead of 2. Developing the bishop would be natural as well, where I can simply defend. Because if I move, he's got this, he's got his eyes on f7, which is nasty. He does have this queen development here as well, eyeing f7. But here I can retreat to block the attack of the queen. Thinking about maybe bishop e6. He wants to fianchetto and challenge my bishop. Have the bishops staring at each other. Now this is hanging. If I were him, I would be considering maybe a knight sack in order to pick up the bishop. I'm just going to castle to protect my hanging bishop. I can get my queen developed, maybe up here, attack the knight. He'd defend with, maybe he would defend with d4. He's going to defend with d4 anyway. Okay. Leaving his king in the center for a little bit. I have this bishop development. It's a nice little setup. Eyeing this c2 square. I can get my knight involved via b4. Let's do that. Seems like a good square for the bishop. You'll be able to defend it with either bishop d3 or knight a3. Okay. He challenges my bishop. And if I take, he has options. Take back with the pawn or the queen or the knight. If I don't, and I allow him to take, I allow him to break up my structure around the king side. I have this knight idea over here as well on f4, attacking g2 and d3. So if I take, queen takes, knight f4, attacking maybe queen back here to f3. My knight's undefended. So what's its real purpose there? Don't know. Could defend my bishop. I don't think I want to trade bishops. I think I want to keep the bishops on the board. Trading would allow him to just develop his queen. Allowing him to trade would destroy my structure. So I think moving the bishop is the prudent move here. His bishop bites into my little pawn fortress there. I think I just bring the bishop back. I like to retain material on the board. The more pieces you have, the better opportunities to develop an attack. You start swapping pieces off and you get into a drawish position. It becomes frustrating sometimes. I like to try and retain pieces on the board unless trading pieces is clearly advantageous. And here, trading pieces didn't do anything for my position. So at worst, I have to kind of admit that this was not the greatest square for me to develop in the first place, and I should have considered bishop here as a developing move instead of bishop here. Tempo can be recovered, though. Position and material is harder to recover. So he's attacking, and he's going to threaten to push this and make me move the bishop again. But I have this attacking his bishop. And snap taking this knight, which would have been a double attack on the bishop. Now he's attacking my b7 square. The rook is cornered, unable to move. Am I tying my shoelaces together? Am I just... So c6 appears to stop that immediate threat. Does it walk into e5? C takes D, attacking the bishop. The bishop's forced to move again. Pretty sure that's my only option. And if he wants to advance again, he has the option of kicking my knight also. or just flat out attacking it. He wants to kick my knight out, and my only safe square is back here. So back we go. Now, if he pushes, I might have an idea of counterattacking the bishop. He takes, I take. He takes with check, I take with the rook. Get an open F file. How about 97? Attacking the knight. Then that does invite. So if I go 97, he takes, I take back with the queen. He does push d5, where my counterattack, attacking the bishop, runs into d takes bishop, and my queen's attacked. So I have to trade queens first. Rook takes queen. Knight takes bishop. Pawn takes f, and then rook takes f. I think that still all works out. How to get my pieces developed. And that's the only available square. Bishop's really boxed in here. Nowhere to go with the bishop. He might be tempted to push this, but it does hang his knight. So he takes the knight first. And I take back with the queen. Now if he pushes, I can think about bishop here, supported by the queen. But I can also think about knight c5, attacking the bishop. He moves the bishop away somewhere, and then I can move my bishop. Then he attacks it again. He's making a lot of committal pawn moves there. If he's going to push g4 and have these pawns all over the place, it's a lot of targets, a lot of chances for breaking and counterattacking. That just, I guess, protects the bishop, prepares this push. I did have that idea as well if he pushed immediately. Now what about rook d8? I'm triple attacking this. It's only defended twice. Okay, I'm still triple attacking it. I'm going to win a pawn here. I believe I can just win the pawn. 1, 2, 3. attackers, 1, 2 defenders. That's a simple math exercise. So if I take and he threatens bring the rook over, I can even just move the bishop back or take this bishop. My queen is still defended twice. So if he wants to trade everything, it's an equal material trade. I just win the pawn. May have noticed in previous videos that I do spend a little bit of time counting the material. I check, you count 1, 2 defenders, 1, 2, 3 attackers. You sometimes just simple math, simple counting like that will save you some material. You do have to take into account where the queen is in the charge. If the queen is leading the charge, then it might not work the same. You don't want to give up your queen for a minor piece or a pawn or something. So move order matters. But here, where the queens are both kind of forced to take back, I just win the pawn. And I feel for you right now, Ashoka. You're probably kicking yourself at the moment, wondering how to recover. But it's only a pawn. It is a central pawn, but a pawn is a pawn is a pawn. How does he recover from this? Because I can just start trading material now. If he adds an attacker, okay, he's going to take that. And then he has to take because I'm threatening this. And now he's got to do something with this bishop. Defend it or move it. Probably move it. And then I just double up my rooks. Maybe not immediately. Maybe I get my knight into the game because it's a slower piece. It takes a little bit more time to get where it needs to be. He can push. I attack the rook. He has to lift. But then I win this pawn if he pushes. I think I need to get my knight involved. My knight back into the game. Because my rook can get where it needs to be in a move. It wants to support this D file. So like, my knight will take a couple moves to get to where I want it to be. Be looking for your worst pieces and how to improve them. You look for weak pieces of your opponent. The pawn is undefended and undefendable. He hung this pawn trying to defend it, but he's going to give me a rook. Did he just not see his rook? Thank you very much, sir. Good game. I understand the frustration. Okay. I think my opponent could have given me just a pawn at the end there and instead of the whole piece. Opponent blundered once, one miss for each of us, a couple mistakes for each of us. And I didn't like his move here, which is, it does seem a little bit wasteful, a little bit squanderous with the tempo. Taking was right. I should have taken. Good job, me. I don't face that line very often. To be quite fair, I don't think many E4 players face Alekhines that often, so many of them just don't have anything prepared, and you end up facing a wild, inaccurate opening anyway. So Fianchettoing was a good move, not the greatest. What is the other idea here? You're just opening up this way. And I want to hit retry. Did I hit retry? Maybe I did. Also a good move. What's the best line here? Oh. Okay. Trading off the knight without allowing him to double your pawns. It questions White's mirroring, but then calls it an excellent move after you've done it, I guess. If you're gonna Fianchetto, you might as well just go ahead and Fianchetto. Castling was good. Playing d4, not so good. What is White's idea here? I mean, maybe just developing. I think this bishop development looks pretty fierce and should have been White's idea. So that was a miss on my part. Instead of developing the bishop here, and I think I said something to that effect in game, like after he plays bishop here, I don't really want to trade, and I end up moving backwards and wasting a little bit of a tempo. So maybe I should have traded off knights first. That's a flat out mistake. So what is, okay, undermine the center, c5. Okay. I like that. It seems to be hanging a pawn. The pawn is not immediately defended, but the queen comes here with check and picks the pawn back up. I play that trick all the time in other openings. I just was not looking for it here and didn't calculate it. Best move for White. Questionable. Inaccurate. Did it want me to take? No, it still wants me to play c5. Allow White to take and take. And that's not the end of the world to have this broken structure over here, because I'll be able to push e6. I'll have a nice little fortress around the king, and the light square bishops are off the board. I'll move my king to the corner, get my rook on the open g file, and that's a playable position. But a mistake attacking, because it allowed that, I believe. Pretty sure my response is the best. Nope. Inaccurate. I should have come this way, attacking here and here. Makes sense. Another inaccuracy. If not that move, then what? Because this is a threat. Does it want me to bring my bishop back home? I can come here and attack the knight and just give up the pawn. I don't think I want to give up a pawn here. What does it want me to do? Just come home? Inaccurate. Okay, good. It wants me to take the knight and give up the rook. I mean, if he takes the pawn, I can develop. My rook is protected. So you take back here, and then I can trade queens. And then I can push my pawn. Okay. He kicks my knight and retreat it. Castling was inaccurate for white. That was a mistake. And it probably wants me to take here. Still. Yeah, best move. Take the knight. Look at why that was a miss for white. What does he have instead here? This. It's a double attack on the knight. That can be right. That's a blunder. Okay. I can recognize a blunder when I see it. Retreat the knight. Just push the knight back. Defend the pawn. Okay. And that was a blunder. That just allowed me the pawn. But he's still only down 1.9. Almost a 2-pawn edge for almost a 3-pawn edge now. He should not have taken my bishop, because that forces a lot of material off the board after the queen trade, because the queen trade is forced. He could have defended. He could have brought his rook over. But trading is best, because his knight is locked in. Oh, no. No, he has to trade because the rook is hanging. Queen trade is forced. And my knight move was good. And attacking the rook, and he should have saved his rook here. And black has a 6.5 edge, just crushing because he's given me the rook. But should he save the rook? Let's retry that per white. I've still got a 3.9 edge. I'm still going to pick up this pawn, attack this rook. And, I mean, he's going to attack this. I don't see a good discovery on that rook. Trying to find a idea to move my knight and attack the rook, but then the rook just kind of slides over here if the knight's not here anymore, even here. So I don't see a good. I just maybe just push the pawn. And this is an overwhelming position for white to have to face. So good game. Thank you all for watching. Come back and enjoy some more chess.